What's going on, guys? Back again in a different setting, but we're still doing the same stuff. Today we're going to be working on my boy Joey's Eton Beamer. We'll be going 70 cc's on this thing, so he's just getting one last ride on it. He got this kit from where you get this from?
Swap shop.
Scooter Swap Shop. So we'll be installing this thing, seeing what this thing does on this, upjetting it. He already has a Melosi pipe, a couple other goodies on it, well, Polini variator as well. Other than that, it's pretty much stock, real clean. This thing only has, how many miles on this thing? 3,000 miles on this thing. This thing's still a baby, excellent condition. So we're gonna be hopping into this. So he's just getting his last ride so he can remember what it feels like. Next time you drive this thing, it's gonna be a whole different animal. You ready, Joe?
I'm ready.
Ready. All right, so I'm gonna be cleaning this stuff up with the die grinder. I got my die grinder all set up. Levi's gonna be taking off this beautiful Melosi pipe, and we're gonna tag team this bike. And then when we go to removing the head and installing, that's where all the real how-to stuff is gonna be happening. But as of right now, this is all prep stuff that you don't have to do, but definitely makes a difference when you do it. You can see in there all the junk, especially on the bottom, that we're going to be removing. From there, and we pretty much should be good, but we're just going to clean that stuff up, clean up some of this intake, and we'll be all set. Levi's over here taking off the exhaust. We'll be done in no time. Alright guys, you see Levi took off all the plastics, got this thing all prepped, ready to pull this head off. See down there? I just finished cleaning up all this. It's all nice and smooth in there. Clean up the intakes as well. So everything is ready to be installed. Now we are going to start the how-to process of going from 50 cc to a big bore kit. Alright guys, to do a big bore kit is relatively simple. What you're going to do is you're going to crack these four 10mm bolts, which Levi's doing right now. You want to crack them first, don't take them off fully. Just crack them first, get them nice and loose.
You're gonna get one bolt that won't come off. Be a pain.
Do not lose any of this hardware because you will be using this to reinstall the kit. So just keep that in mind. Try to work on a clean area, clean surface. Keep your hands clean.
No.
You don't want to put any debris or something inside of the motor, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so after you do that, all four of the bolts off. This right here simply pulls right off. All right, this is the top of your motor. And then as you can see, that's a nice beautiful golden brown color. That thing's just mixing well. So now we're going to go back to the cylinder. There's going to be a first metal gasket that squishes the head. And then we're going to take the actual cylinder.
Maybe to hit it, yeah.
Sometimes you need to just hit that loose with a hammer. Get that gasket loose. You see it? Nothing crazy. Now we can literally take the head, go nice and slow. Remember the piston's still in there, so probably want to grab it from the bottom and support it. And you can see that the piston is right on the inside, coming out. This one's a little stuck. All right, nice and easy, and just like that, the head is removed and the piston is free. All right.
This one came off too with the gasket up there.
Yep. So yeah, make sure this came off with the gasket. There's no base gasket left on there. That's great news. That's less cleanup for us to do. The piston is still in there, so we are halfway done. We'll put the cylinder head aside All right, so this is a better angle so you guys can see. On this motor, this is the piston, and inside of the piston, right here on the inside, these are your clips. This is what's holding the wrist pin inside of it, and inside of that is the bearing, and all that together holds the piston onto the connecting rod. So what we're going to do is remove that clip, and then from the opposite side we're able to push it towards us and then pull the whole wrist pin out, and then now we'll remove the piston. We do not need to remove the connecting rod.
These been out. Did that kit come with new ones?
Yep.
Alright, so we can just pull these out.
There we go, just like that. Can I see that? I'm gonna pull this clip out from here, and then he's gonna go to the other side and he's going to push that wrist pin out. You're gonna see how easy it is. Watch your finger. All right, so he pushed that out enough, and now we are going to take the needle noses and we're gonna grab the wrist pin. Oh, there we go. We're gonna pull this out just like that. Saw that? Everything comes right back out, and then we're gonna remove this right there. That's your wrist pin bearing. All right. So right here, we are literally done with removing the head. All right, guys, so before we install the new big bore kit, we have to inspect the base and make sure that all of the old gasket is removed. You can use a razor blade or you can use some Scotch-Brite. Just clean up this surface, make sure all the old gasket is removed. In our case, the majority of the gasket came off with the old head, so we got lucky. So you can use the razor blade, just keep in mind, do not score or gouge the base right here, because this is what seals and you do not want any air leaks. So just keep that in mind. So we're gonna clean this up right here. We're probably gonna use a Scotch-Brite because it's not too bad. And we're going to be installing the big bore kit shortly after. All right, so you can Scotch-Brite or some very fine sandpaper. In this case, we're just using a little 320. And we're just gonna clean up any of the old gaskets. We really don't have anything on this one. All right, I think we're good. And then after that, we're just gonna wipe it clean with a microfiber. Just being careful not to get anything inside of the actual motor in here. So just take your time. Yeah, so let's install the piston first, and then we'll install the base gasket and then install the head. All right, so we're getting ready to install this piston. First, you want to install one side of the C-clip. You can see that. Go.
Just need a little flat head.
Just be careful because these things will go flying across the room.
Oh man. Alright, there we go. Spin it, make sure it's in there. Spin, so it's in there definitely.
So now, before we install, we're gonna lube everything up with some 2-stroke oil. Doesn't matter what kind of oil you use, you just want to make sure this thing is not dry when you put it together. Now we're gonna sit the new bearing in some oil. Let that thing soak up for a little while. And we'll throw the wrist pin in there with it. So that's the wrist pin and the bearing. Throw that in some oil. You got your base gaskets. All right, Levi's over here cleaning up the head for the final time. Make sure this thing is all nice. Then what we are going to do, we are going to take some of this 2-stroke oil. This goes on literally everything before you install. So we're going to take some of this, we're going to pour it inside of the head and make a mess. And what he's doing is just rubbing it on every surface that he possibly can. And then you put that to the side. Now we're going to rub some of that same 2-stroke oil on the piston rings.
Alright. Now with these, I don't believe that it matters which one is on top or on the bottom.
Well, before we do that, let's show them. Alright, so on these rings right here, alright, so on these rings, there are going to be 2 little notches. There's one right there, and there's one right there. That is where the gap of the ring sits in. You want to make sure you have this clocked the right way, because otherwise it will not go in. And if your piston does not want to go into the cylinder head, do not force it in, because you will gouge your cylinder head. So very important if you have a nickel steel lined cylinder, because then your head is pretty much ruined. But these cast iron ones are a lot more forgiving. Just take your time. You're going to put this thing in there, like he rotates it until it's clocked the right way. And you want to put your bottom ring on first. It's a little difficult when your hands are all slippery. What do you need? The needles?
Yeah.
Alright. Then your top ring. Just like that. Then you get them both clocked in. Can I show them real quick? Alright, like I said before, see how the gap and then that little dot is in the middle there? And same thing with this one. We are going to rotate it. See, here's a dot. We're going to rotate it until that is in the middle right there. And then you're all set. And then you can go into installing your piston into the Alright, so we're going to take the bearing out of the oil, nice and lubricate it, put it into the connecting rod. Just like that. See how he rotates it so the connecting rod's a little longer, so it's easier to work with.
Make sure the arrow is pointing down.
Yep, the arrow. Oh, let's show him that arrow before we even stick it up there. Alright, there's an arrow on the piston. That is your exhaust. You want to make sure that this is pointing down. Alright, and remember that we put the clip on one of the sides already, so all we have to do is slide this. Line everything up, slide it into there. And we're good. Just take the little screwdriver and push it so it's fully seated. There we go. Now lastly, we just got to install that last clip. Alright, so now that the wrist pin is fully in and fully seated, we are going to install the last clip. What I like to do is take that needle nose. We just push that in like that, and then push it until it seats, and then rotate it. Make sure that thing rotates. Then you're all set. All right, that's it. So now we're gonna take a little bit more oil Actually, we will install the base gasket first. All right, so now we're gonna install the new base gasket. All right, so now we're gonna install the new base gasket. And just take your time because you don't want to rip it. It is only but paper. So he's taking his time. He's trying to slide it down nice and evenly. He's not forcing it. All right, base gasket officially on. All right, and we're almost done, guys. Now we're gonna take that head, the one that we lubed up, and we are going to slide it on about halfway. We're gonna get the piston seated up against it. We're gonna make sure that these things are still clocked in the right position. And we're gonna pour a little bit more oil on them. Oops, let's pour a little bit more oil on this. All right. Make sure that these are still clocked. Is that one still clocked up there?
Right there. Perfect.
All right. Those are still clocked. Now he's gonna slide it on until it meets the piston. And this is the little tricky part, and you don't want to force it. So there's two grooves on the side of the piston, head right here, and you kind of want to put your hands around it. You can, yeah, and try to squeeze the piston ring so it seats inside of there. You see, it's hung up right there, so it's not squeezed enough.
The clock still?
No, rotate it to me. Right there.
Plastic is in my way.
All the way. Right there.
Do one at a time.
Yep, just do one piston at a time. It's kind of difficult to see, but you want to squeeze that piston and then get it inside of the sleeve. You want to squeeze the piston ring and get it inside of the sleeve. One ring at a time. Do not force this because you will damage your head, or you will break a piston, or you will gouge, or do both. Alright, he's just about in there. See, both of those piston rings are in there. The piston's gonna slide right in now, nice and easy. Look at that, beautiful. And again, that arrow is pointed down towards the exhaust on the piston, and that piston's in there. Just gonna rotate it, make sure it spins freely. Everything's nice and lubricated. Beautiful. So now we're gonna install this metal gasket. Just like the paper gasket, we're gonna take our time. Try not to bend this thing at all. Just take your time and it'll go right on. Hopefully. Yeah, there's just a lot of wiggling. And eventually it seats just like that. And you see that the raised bump is facing up. So that way when the new one goes down, it squishes it down and makes a nice seal. Lastly is the head. It goes on that simple, and then we just reinstall those last 4 bolts. So now you're gonna tighten these
like you do on a car tire.
Tighten these up in an X pattern or cross pattern until they're nice and snug, and then after they're snug, you're going to want to torque them to 12 foot-pounds. And then after that, for the most part, the big bore kit is complete. We're gonna reinstall the exhaust, put a new spark plug in this thing, and then we're going to get into rejetting this. We're probably gonna go up by 10%. See how he's going in a nice cross pattern. Timmy's here. You hear him from a mile away. But all right, guys, so we're pretty much done with the big bore install. We're just gonna reinstall all the rest of the parts specific to this bike. Your bike may be different, but the big bore aspect is all the same. There you guys have it. We just installed a big bore kit. Just showed you how to do it. Follow the steps, step by step. Take your time. Very simple, very easy, and you'll definitely love the outcome of it. Make sure you follow the proper warm-up procedures. Make sure you upjet. Other than that, the rest is all tuning and you're up to your personal taste. So if you guys like the video, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. Peace.